So Wuthering Waves have been killing it recently, especially with a lot of the new stuff that's come out about rinascita. There's been a ton of advertising for version 2.0 and people are getting very excited. But let's just slow down a bit and actually cast our minds to the start of this version where we actually had possibly one of our biggest banners being Camellya. Well, at least I said that's what I was going to predict it to be. But in this video, we actually have some more news about the revenue, which is actually really exciting for Wuthering Waves and could prove Wuthering Waves' worth whenever it comes to being a gacha game and the overall position against other games in general. Now you're probably asking a question like, oh, Kazahani, you said you weren't going to cover the gacha revenue report again. Well, this is actually different. This information isn't actually taken from the gacha revenue report or even Sensor Tower. And I'll be going over all the other details with this other website to kind of give you some context behind how accurate this is and whether you should believe this information or not. But before I get into this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy it. And also go over to my Twitch where I'm going to be streaming live. I definitely recommend going to go check it out. We cover a ton of Wuthering Waves stuff. I play, a ton of Wuthering Waves on stream, but we also react to some Wuthering Waves videos and also other gacha videos as well, which you might find interesting. So go down into the pinned comment down below or in the description, there'll be a link there, and I definitely recommend you come check me out, because if you follow, you'll get a notification as soon as I go live. But let's get back into the video. So the website that we're actually using for this is AppMagic. AppMagic has been a trusted website for a lot of news companies out there, including Pocket Gamer, the news site that actually does the Mobile Game Awards, which, Wuthering Waves won, and Wuthering Waves actually attended as well. Now, obviously, if we go into the key facts about AppMagic here, they say that they get the numbers from, publicly available App Store and Google Play databases, enhancing it with actual figures contributed by our customers. So again, there is a kind of estimate kind of feature to this, and I do think you need to take this information with a grain of salt, because again, there is a chance that this could be a little bit wrong, but AppMagic does a lot more in terms of actually trying to build an algorithm to get a closer estimate than just kind of multiplying it by a random number and just being like, yeah, that will do. Because the difference with AppMagic and the gacha revenue chart is that they don't actually include the information they don't know about the Chinese kind of websites, which again, if you don't know, gacha revenue actually estimates, or I say guesses, the numbers for the Chinese. I think it's the Android version, which again, isn't great, and they can do that if they want, but AppMagic doesn't actually include any of that data, so a lot of the revenue that you'll be seeing today is actually going to be higher. It could even be double what it is at the moment, but again, just remember that these are all estimates and they are not the final number, and we've also still got like 3 days left of November, which could change some things, but honestly, I don't think Wuthering Waves is going to make 10 million in a couple of days. So let's go and have a look at some of the numbers here. So looking at Wuthering Waves, you can see that the revenue for the last 30 days is actually 10 million. Now 10 million is an absolutely amazing amount, which I'm super excited to see, because again, I told you that the Camellya Banner was probably going to sell pretty well. You can see here there's actually a graph where they split up the different kind of regions and how it's split up in terms of revenue. We can see that China is actually the #1 spender with 26%, which again is great, but also remember there is also quite a bit of revenue missing from the Chinese apps, which will probably bump up their percentage even more. And then in second place, which was quite surprising, at 23% is Japan. Again, they spent about 2 million, and then South Korea in close, 20% as well. They also spent 2 million, and then United States in the 4th place with 1 million. Now, obviously, if we go over to the downloads, though, it's slightly different because, AppMagic also shows downloads. They've made 500,000 downloads at least. They say that China has been 23% of these, but also the United States have actually been second in downloads, which means that Wuthering Waves is growing in popularity over in the West and over in the United States, which again is actually really exciting to see. Now, obviously, this means that Japan and South Korea do have less players, but it does mean that they do spend more. A lot of the players, although there is less, they spend more money and they, bring a lot of the revenue to the game, whereas a lot of the United States players do actually play free to play. And I think that's just the product of the culture over in the United States. I mean, there's a lot of stuff with like Hoyoverse and things like that, where many people over there are free to play because they don't have that culture of spending a ton of money on a character. Whereas China, they're a little bit more used to it at the moment. But again, that could always change in the future, and maybe it'll be interesting to see if the kind of revenue spending to download ratio changes for America. But then if we actually go over to some of the competitors, we can see what they're kind of making in the last 30 days, which has actually really interested me. Now, it says here that Wuthering Waves actually made 10 million in revenue and 500,000 downloads, which we saw. And then we got Genshin Impact making 20 million and also 2 million downloads, which again is to be expected. It's Genshin Impact. It's always going to make a ton of money. They did really well last month, so I do, kind of expect them to keep doing well, especially with a lot of the new characters coming out, like Chaska. But then the most interesting one to me is Zealous Zone Zero actually pretty much being equal to Wuthering Waves in terms of revenue and downloads. Zealous Zone Zero on 10 million and 500,000. Now, obviously, with the Chinese kind of data, that is missing, and they will probably never be able to see because it is private. And the only way you can kind of get an idea of what it's going to be is by using, you know, kind of multipliers and stuff like Gacha revenue chart do, which could actually make up the difference between Wuthering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero. Maybe they make quite a bit more or quite a little bit less. But it is interesting to see, mainly in the global audience and a little bit of the Chinese audience, that Wuthering Waves is actually kind of on par with Zenless Zone Zero at the moment, and that they're actually keeping up with a Hoyoverse game, which is really, really great to see. But also what surprised me as well is Honkai Star Rail also making 10 million with 1 million downloads. Obviously, you know, it's a much more popular game, especially for a lot of free-to-play players. So again, they're going to have much more downloads, but the revenue has been pretty much the same, and that's probably due to a lot of the banners not being as exciting. I can't even remember what banner is currently on Honkai Star at the moment. Oh wait, no, I remember it. It was the Acheron banner, and then also we had the Rapper banner. I don't know if that actually overlapped into November, but again, that is, you know, that kind of makes sense because it is a rerun, so yeah. It's pretty good though. It seems like, you know, Wuthering Waves though, compared to these two, is actually pretty decent. Now, obviously, if we keep going down to AFK Journey, which was another game that came out about that time, they're making around 5 million, which again, is probably to be expected. We keep going down, Dragon Ball Legends making 10 million and 1 million downloads. Again, absolutely insane. I think it kind of goes unnoticed how well they're doing. And then also Nikkei, who actually recently had that anniversary, so it's to be expected that their revenue is going to go up a ton. And they've actually made 20 million in revenue and got 200,000 downloads. So again, it seems like a lot of these companies are doing very well. And obviously, you know, on my channel, I do like to hone in on Wuthering Waves mostly, and it's really great to see that they are making 10 million at least in the 30 days. Now, as I said, a lot of this information is estimate, so, you know, take a lot of this with a grain of salt. Obviously, this could be up, this could be down. I think more than likely up, just because due to the missing kind of information we have from the Chinese market, which is obviously going to drive it. It could even be double this. I reckon whenever the Gacha revenue chart comes out, if we kind of do like a bit of quick math, it's going to be something around like 17 million or something based on their multipliers. But also, I just wanted to quickly look as well. If we look at all of these charts, I know there's a lot of numbers everywhere, but you can see Wuthering Waves is here. It actually made 5 million last month. So even looking at Magic data alone and not comparing it to anything else, we can see that it's doubled in revenue, which is really, really good to see. And it seems like Wuthering Waves is finally taking off and getting the recognition it deserves in terms of revenue and in terms of sponsorships, collaborations, and everything like that. If you've been on my Twitter, well, first of all, what are you not doing on my Twitter if you're not there? Again, I posted quite a lot of stuff to do with collaborations and things like that. They've had a lot of collaborations with companies like Snapdragon, which again drives a lot of people over to the game and gets people interested about the overall IP in general. But again, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this. Do you think that, you know, Wuthering Waves is going to succeed even more and that they're going to, you know, keep going up in revenue? Or do you think that this was just the case of Camellya was just such a good banner that, you know, people really wanted to pull on that? Because again, this is some really interesting information, especially, you know, a couple days before, you know, a lot of the big Gacha PVP stuff comes out. It's going to be interesting to see how they kind of rate it compared to this data. And yeah, I'll keep you guys updated if anything else happens. But if you guys did enjoy this video, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And also go over to Twitch, as I said. I'll be there streaming live. Definitely go down to the pinned comment down below or the description. Again, it's a really, really fun time. And I'll be doing a lot of Wuthering Waves stuff and kind of reacting and everything like that. So come join us. I'll be over there. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.